We are back yet again with another round of metagame decks to cover. So the first list we're going to be looking at here is something relatively interesting that came out of the top 32 at the Argentina Regional. So we did go through the discussion on Mekk-Knight. I do think that this, for some reason, this deck was just beaten to a pulp for like the whole format, and then all of a sudden it came back in a rage. And, like, it wasn't, like, an impactful rage. It was just kind of like, holy shit, this deck is still alive. So, more love to column abuse decks. I mean, hey, Mekk-Knight finally went quiet enough to come back and do something. So, I mean, that's good, right? So, we have triple copies of our boy Alistair the Invoker. Triple copies of the Ash, Blossom, and Joyous Spring. 2 copies of Brinkatops, my man. 2 copies of Effective Veiler. Triple copies of Ghost Ogre, 1 Blue Sky, 1 Indigo Eclipse, triple Purple Nightfall, triple copies of Called by the Grave, triple Instant Fusion, 2 copies of Invocation, triple Magical Meltdown, triple Mind Control, 2 copies of Hornet Drones, 1 Super Poly, 2 Terraforming, 1 Book of the Law, triple Twin Twister, 1 copy of World Dino Wrestling, and 1 copy of World Legacy Secrets, ladies and gentlemen. The extra deck, we have 1 Kagari, 1 Mekk-Knight Morningstar, 1 Link Kribo, 1 copy Phoenix, 1 Boral Load, 1 copy of Alistair the Invoker, 1 Thousand Eyes, 1 copy of Starving Venom, 2 copies of Erasian, 1 copy of Purgatrio, 2 copies of Makaba, 1 copy of Elysium, and 1 Caligula. The side deck, we have triple copies of Lancia, 1 copy of Scythe, triple DD Crow, triple Sphere Mode, 1 Hayate. Actually, interesting tech choice for time. If you hit the 1 of Hornet Drones, you can actually kill your opponent. That's pretty cool. 1 copy of Trisbania, and triple copies of Scythe. It's actually pretty insane how this deck, like, this card is so insane right now. But Mekk-Knight column abuse, actually, the fact that Alistair the Invoker actually gets a chance to sit at the dinner table again with a lot of the other top pecks in the metagame is relatively shocking, actually. I know a lot of people have kind of been pushing away from Alistair for the longest time, and it's sad that Alistair just has not gotten any love this format, but, you know, all things aside, like, the deck still is good enough top 32 regional, as long as that is your goal to, you know, aim to get your invite. And you can still do that in today's metagame. So, it's definitely leaves stuff to be desired, but still, nonetheless, it's still here. Next up, this hot deck came out of the top 8 at Argentina. And the first thing I initially was looking at here, I was like, what is going on here? So, if you control a Cyberse monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon 1 backup secretary once per turn. So, what happens when you normal summon Lady Debug? You add a level 3 or lower Cyberse to your hand. You special summon this because you've met the requirements, and then you can go into Mermaid, which allows you to start your deck. Ladies and gentlemen, we have done it. We have mastered backup secretary, and we have made it more abusable in the Orcust deck. I didn't actually think this was going to happen in my lifetime, but Lady Debug and Backup Secretary, I believe this was something that the OCG was trying fundamentally, at least concept-wise. As far as I know, it didn't really get off the ground, but boy, was I wrong. So we have 1 copy of Backup Secretary, triple copies of Effect Veiler, 1 copy of Rosnix, 1 copy of Genix Controller, triple copies of Undyne, 2 Junk Forward. Once again, like, any 2 monsters gets us to where we need to be. Now we have triple Lady Debug, 1 copy of Orcust Symbol Skeleton, and 1 Orcust Harpor, 2 copies of Orcust Nightmare, triple copies of Phantom Skyblaster. I actually kind of think if anything on the list needs to be hit, it's probably this guy. And we have 2 copies of Tracker, 1 Talcum Borg, 1 Terratop, 1 Ancient Cloak, 1 Silent Boots, 1 World Wand. We have triple Called by the Grave, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Babel, 1 Hornet Drones, 1 Rank Up Magic Quick Launch, 2 copies of Twin Twisty, 2 Fogblade, 1 Judgment, and 1 Shade Brigade. The extra deck down here, we have 1 Rusty Tin Can, 1 Summon Sorceress, 1 Kagari, 1 Orchestrion, 1 copy of Longrisu, 1 Link Spider, 1 Phoenix, 2 Mermaid, 1 Cerberus, 2 Galatea, 1 copy of Redoer, 1 Phantom Knight Breaksword, and 1 Azathoth. Side deck here, we have triple Lancia, triple Prankatops, 2 Turtles, 1 Borreload, and 1 Trisbania for sighting for other matchups, 1 Dark Hole, 2 copies of Mind Control, 1 Raigeki, and 1 copy of Twin Twister. overall, like, the concept of Orcust Turbo actually doesn't shock me. We've actually just reached a point now that the good shit.deck concept from Japan, like, you just combining all of these engines for combo extenders just to get to your 2 monsters, just to slurp up the Cyberse into the Mermaid to start your deck. Like, that's literally all this is. And I like this a lot. This is actually really cool. Moving on along, we actually have an Attack of the Giant card winner coming out of the UDS. Actually, this was pretty cool to actually get the chance to see. I love stun to death. I think anytime this concept of stun gets a chance to come up, you know, it's really good. We did see a list come across the OCG where we were playing this exact monster lineup with 3 copies of Thunder King, but this build cuts the Thunder King and incorporates a little bit more interesting card choices to counteract the meta. So let's dig into this. So we have 2 copies of Banisher of the Radiance, pretty standard. Same thing with 2 Fossil Dyna. The main reason why this deck is good is because of Inspector Border, and we have 2 copies of Thunder King Rao. We have triple copies of Demise. We have 2 copies of Necro Valley, kind of in a format where Orcust can do stuff. Actually, this becomes a little bit better because this becomes a globalized floodgate for the graveyard, which is actually really good for controlling. Only 1 copy of Desires. I do know, having played this deck, you would make the complaint that there's a lot of confliction between the draw cards at certain points. I do not think that to be the case at all, because there will be times where you will see other draw cards, and there will be times that you won't see other draw cards. The issue that Stuns kind of always had was you don't have enough draw power. So in a world where you can have enough draw power, like, that's good, right? We have triple copies of Pot of Duality, triple copies of Pot of Extravaganza. The extra deck down here, we have triple copies of Compulse, 1 copy of Imperial Order, 2 copies of Mirror Force, 2 Phantom Knight Sword, triple Wings, 1 Judgment, triple Strike, 1 copy of Ye Olde Warning. We have 2 copies of Storming Mirror Force, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One. Down here in the extra deck, we have 1 Trisbania, 1 Ningrisu, 1 Mrs. Radiant, 1 Link Kribo, 1 Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 Serbi, 1 Ib, 1 Boral Sword, 1 Borreload, 2 copies of Ultimate Falcon, 1 Starving Venom, 1 copy of Violet Chimera, 1 Dragostapalia. The side deck, we have triple copies of Prankatops, 1 more Fossil Dino, 1 Cosmic Cyclone. Actually, this is really good for the Evil Eye matchup. We have 2 copies of Evil Matched, 2 Heavy Storm Duster, triple copies of Impermanence, and triple copies of Waking Dragon. I did want to play this deck conceptually with, like, no real extra deck, but Waking the Dragon is a very good card. Like, you will single-handedly win matches with this. You just have to make sure that, like, your appropriate targets are good, because, you know, you'll be feeding off of this and this. So it's definitely something to kind of understand. And then last but not least here, we have top 32 Pendulum list for Marino Gonzalez. And I actually just wanted to kind of showcase this because it's Pendulums. I like following the evolution of this deck. We're still currently on the Agripain build, which, I mean, is good. You know, don't get me wrong, but here we are. So we have 1 Goliath. Enjoy your opponent not being able to social summon from the extract. We have 2 copies of Black Fang Magician, 2 Chronofang Sorcerer, triple copies of Harmonizing, 2 copies of Apex Avian, 2 Mystical Beast Jackal King, triple Master Cerberus, 2 copies of Oaf Dragon. We have 2 Purple Poison, triple Dark Worm, 2 copies of Gate Zero, 1 copy of Time Gazer, triple Wisdom Eye. We have 2 Zangenki. We have 1 Dragon Pit. We have 2 Allure Darkness, 2 Dragon Shrine, 1 Foolish Bro, 2 copies of Pendulum Call, and we have 2 Desires. Obviously, the biggest change from this deck is, I think, ratios on Apex. I believe there was a build that was playing 3, and other builds are playing 2. I think 2 is a little bit more consistent. Take it for what it's worth. I mean, you do not get a lot of room to mess around in your main deck for ratios with this deck. It's one of the more interesting things about this deck. Alright, extra deck. We have 1 Metaltron, 1 Land Phonicus, 1 Ib, 1 copy of Electromagnet, he's limited, 1 Bring the Pain Dragon. We have 1 copy of Time Star, 1 Supreme King. We have 1 Absolute Dragon, Norito, 1 copy of Karagorgon, Abyss Dweller, Supreme King Clearwing, Ignisti, Boral Load Savage Dragon, and Vortex Dragon. And side deck, we have 2 copies of Lancia, triple copies of Denko, 2 copies of Brankatops, triple Lava Golem, 2 copies of Secret Village, and we have triple copies of Red Reboot, wrapping this up. Among all of these decks, Pendulum is the one that has been, like, the cheapest, quote-unquote. I mean, the deck did get the chance to go back to budget because of this. Overall, I mean, like, the whole main deck is pretty decently priced. I think Honestly, this might be the most, between this and this, I think are probably the most expensive cards in the deck. Unless Goliath is suddenly spiked up. I mean, even in terms of like the extra deck, like this is probably the most expensive thing you have. So, I mean, budget Yu-Gi-Oh coming back, you know, added again, which is actually really cool. So, guys, what do you think about these deck lists? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I enjoy covering this stuff until we get some ban lists. It's pretty cool to get a chance to see a lot of this stuff. And, well, guys, I'm out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.